We did it.
We done it. We
Dude,
really done it.
it's so chaotic with the kid. Like, I'm probably gonna be here and there this season.
I'm
So
not surprised at
thank
all.
you, Steve, for taking over and taking care of the producing aspect of it, even though you suck at it.
I'm learning. I'm getting better. Throwing my shoe at you. But yeah, no, yeah, apologies for cutting you off for most of the podcast last week, Joe. It turns out resizing windows is a no-no, so I've got that one figured out now.
The technical difficulties have been resolved, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Ideally, yeah.
There's just something new to fuck up, Steve. Don't worry about it.
Always something new to fuck up, and that's what I will learn, and I will not fuck it up the next time. That is my resolution to you all. So,
That's how you get better.
Continuous improvement.
Yep.
You know.
So,
right. Well,
do you have an itinerary, Steve? Since you are now the de facto host of the podcast.
I mean, honestly, really, I don't. I don't think we're really going to go through too much in terms of the like the matchups. Right.
Well, I'm cool. I'm cool with just like talking ball or whatever you guys want to talk about. Yeah, I think we're
pretty much like we'll start out with how is y'all's week in fantasy? Well, we can start with Targus. I think Hospital Boy over here.
Everybody has had a really bad start to the season. Like everybody, I don't think anybody, even if you're winning, unless you're Trevor last week with 4 touchdowns from Alvin Kamara back to back.
I mean, Ben and Casey.
It feels tight.
Those are the only two, man.
You're skirting. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm a broken record at this point like I'm having deja vu because last season we were having this exact same discussion at this time.
Oh, it's even worse this year.
What's going on with offense? Everything is so like this is a defensive league. Like we're just seeing defenses go crazy. And what's going on with preseason? They like all these teams like the Bengals don't play their starters and look awful to start the season. I saw a stat that Joe Burrow's like 1-9 or something.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
the first week. What?
Let's just push the anti-Joe Burrow narrative.
It's not even just him though. It's like
it's all across the league. It's all across the league because I was looking at passing. Is this a stat for passing touchdowns through the first 2 weeks by year? And it's like pre-2023, 2023. It's like over 100 passing touchdowns through the first 2 weeks. Last year, 86. This year, before Monday Night Football, where there was 1 touchdown thrown, it was 64. So even compared to last year, like, we have 65 after Monday Night Football compared to 86 last year compared to 106 or so 2 years ago. So we're definitely seeing a reduction here in terms of what's going on. Just,
Well, okay, so last week I brought up Darnell Mooney being paid as much as Saquon. If you go look back at his production, he had 1 good year where he had 1,000 yards with the Bears. It was like his second season in the league. Yep. He had 200 fantasy points that year. If you look at like who scored 200 fantasy points, it's like in terms of like relevant offensive players, like there might be 30 last year who did that. Yeah. Maybe. Like
last year was so down for fantasy points.
Well,
offensive scoring.
Here's the thing: is like last season, and this came on the heels of we just started our dynasty league, and we have a lot of new IDP players for fantasy, and our scoring was a little overtuned in certain areas, and we saw the Brian Branch pick 6 get like 27 points game 1 on the, and it was like, oh my god. And then like the first 3 or 4 weeks, it was just like, TJ Watt getting 60 points and like Tyreek Hill getting like 40 as like the top end and stuff. And it's like this season the same situations so far, because there's no passing touchdowns happening. It seems like every team is just, looking at the 2 high safety zone reads that the defensive coordinators around the league are showing, and they're just running the ball. There are so many viable running backs and so many injuries that are happening that it's just like complete chaos right now. There's just like this is kind of what makes fantasy so fun, is because we're trying to hit a moving target. It's like this game would be so boring if it was just so predictable that every single year you knew like, oh, the guy with, CMC is just going to win the league every single year, Jordan. It's like different every single year. Every year you have the same faces, the same superstars that are impacting the league year to year, generally, assuming they stay healthy. But just the emergence of new players out of nowhere, UDFAs that come in and are relevant, people that played in the league for 4 years on a different team that get traded or sign in free agency to a new place and then just like have a shift in their usage, or they're in a different scheme. They're defensively, they're put in a different position and they just produce like
Coaching
crazy.
changes. I mean,
I also think there's like the meta of like the NFL has also changed. Like you mentioned, like the Vic Fangio too high kind of like coming to the league, and then like now the disguise coverage going from like, or the disguise motion kind of like philosophy going from offense to defense with like Mike McDonald and all that stuff. Like one of the things that's definitely happened is the like change in defensive schemes. Every shitty team is chasing the rookie contract quarterback, and every rookie cannot run a dink and dunk offense. It is not a thing that they do in college, especially the young, like 3 year players that all get drafted at the top, because like that's not how college works. Like that's not how college ball gets played. There's no dink and dunk offenses except for maybe Oregon, and like
that
if
didn't
that's
work.
true that Bo Nix, like what's happening there?
It's not
Like
working.
The
yeah,
fact that none of you brought up that Travis Kelce and Sam Laporta have done absolutely nothing over the last 2 weeks blows my mind. Because
Oh
you know
no,
for a
I was gonna
fact,
bring that
That's
up.
part of
you,
it.
you,
Like,
you know for a fact that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes work in the offseason together. So
yeah.
that connection makes no sense to me.
I mean, it's
Like
I
he's
mean, I can
Well,
say the same
homie's
thing
getting
about Lamar
tripled.
and Tim Andrews. Like,
Homie's getting
Tim
doubled
Andrews
and
has been
tripled every
disappointed.
play. Like, he's just
I don't know. It's never mattered in the past, right?
well
Well, it's
well,
also like
when you're working
he's
together in the
blocking
off
more for
season,
some
you're not
reason
working
too.
against a defender at full speed in pads. You're
Well,
working
he's
against
also
a
blocking more than he's had to block, or that he's ever blocked in the last 5 years. Like,
that's
there you
Yeah.
true.
go.
which is
That's
weird. Travis Kelce should not be blocking at 35. Like,
so
he also shouldn't be getting hit, which is another like side effect of like
True.
catching passes. But like, it's weird that they're using him that way. Like, I know they have
Also,
other options, but like, still, it's Travis Kelce.
like I I I just don't understand. The tight ends this year are like not effective at all.
Well,
yeah,
except
They're
for
I
like
like
wanted to
non-existent.
I
and
definitely wanted to bring up what you're talking about, Trevor, and I think it's a good time to talk about it. The tight end situation is a complete divert. This is like a regression of like 8-10 years of
Insanity.
like usage in terms of fantasy prospects for the tight end position. Last year we were talking about it like every week about how tight ends are going through this renaissance era where we're seeing all these adept pass catching tight ends like Sam Laporta come out of nowhere and dominate. And then we have this season where I think there's less than like 5 touchdowns for the position total through 2 weeks. And like you said, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, all these studs are doing nothing.
They're
Every
nowhere.
single one of them,
I
except
will say this.
with one exception, and he's not even blowing everyone out of the water. It's just impressive because he's a rookie. Brock
Brock
Bowers
Bowers,
is
yeah.
like he's the only tight end that's functioning in this capacity that we're accustomed to. And it's so strange that over 2 years it's been rookies that have come out and been really strong fantasy tight ends. It's like in 2021 we had Kyle Pitts, and then last year we had Sam Laporta, and this year it's looking like it's Brock Bowers. This is like uncharted territory here because the tight end position classically takes 3, 4, 5, 6 years to really develop into this.
You forgot Kittle.
Uh,
Kittle's rookie season.
Yeah,
Fucking,
he
he went
blew
off.
up rookie season 2.
right.
Right, but Kittle gets hurt every year.
Yeah, that's true. But like his first year he was healthy, so
Yeah.
he he gets the Kyle Pitts treatment for sure.
I
Yeah.
think though that the reason for the tight end usage and the reason why tight end is so parable for fantasy, at least through 2 weeks through 2024, is a side effect of the fact that wide receivers are just useless
Yeah, passing
right
touchdowns
now.
are bad. Like
Yeah, there's only, what
they're
did you
all
say,
down.
64?
We're
Was it
down.
63,
Yeah, we're
64
down to it's
touchdowns through 2 weeks?
65 total passing touchdowns through 2 weeks. When 2 years ago, again, 106. Like we're down 40%.
That's
That's
like
a
2
lot, dude.
touchdowns a game. That was receiving touchdowns, right?
Yes,
Or just,
passing touchdowns.
yeah, that's 2 touchdowns a game,
You know,
pretty much.
yeah,
I will
pretty
say
close.
one thing about Brock Bowers that I don't think I don't think I've heard anywhere else is like his situation is if you can copy and paste what Minshew did last year for Michael Pittman is exactly what's going on for Brock Bowers. Like that
The
same
short game.
the short
Yeah.
game over the middle kind of like intermediate routes. Like that's Minshew's like thing.
That's
He's
his
like
bread and butter.
made like yeah, that's why he has a career. Brock Bowers has always been good at that. Like that was his whole
It's
thing.
a match made in heaven
Carson
in
Wentz
some
last year.
ways. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to produce a ton of touchdowns, but it's great for tight end premium.
And it's volume. It's just
And
pure
yeah,
volume.
tons of volume.
When I look around the league and I'm watching all these games, again, I am seeing a trend of running the ball, which is so strange for early season football because usually it's passing heavy during the beginning parts of the season. And then as things get colder, running backs emerge. And we always have been saying, oh, just wait. In like 6-7 weeks, that running back that you're so used to dominating, like your Austin Eckler's and your Kamara's or whatever, your David Montgomery's of the world, once things get colder and when it starts to hurt when you get tackled because the grass is frozen or whatever, that's when they become useful. We're seeing them out the gate producing like crazy, and the games are just, it
So
feels like the games are ending so fast because they just burn the clock like
I mean,
immediately.
that's exactly it, right?
so it's cold hands that suck in the winter because the quarterback has a hard time throwing the ball because releasing it because his hands are all locked up. Fucking receivers have a hard time catching it because it hits them in the hands and it fucking hurts. So,
Yeah.
but the other problem is, right, for running backs, this is also where you start getting those little kid fucking Achilles, knee, ankle injuries, hamstrings because they're slipping and sliding and fucking.
I mean, this is
It's
all
hard on their bodies.
This is all an effect of the by committee system too, right? If you can rotate your touches and increase durability of all your guys throughout the season, and effectively share the load and decrease the load and maintain the same recovery time, you're going to be able to effectively run the ball more longer in the season. So there's no other reason to like reserve them. You just hit
Yeah.
it with as much as you got.
Thing, though, right?
Yeah, I
'Cause,
mean,
like,
it's a coaching
McVay,
decision.
Shanahan, like they're gonna like continuously kill like whichever the running back is they decide that year, and like
And then next guy up,
you're-
you
I
know.
mean, then and Matt LaFleur keeps going to the media being like, "No, we're doing a committee," and like that's always how like Aaron Jones was used. I don't know, like I haven't been paying attention to the Packers this year.
Yeah, no,
I
I
don't
mean,
think that's going to change because he's not
no,
hasn't changed.
no. Emmanuel Wilson is still going to spell Josh Jacobs for at least like 20% of the snaps in a game. But
Well,
it's probably going to be
oh,
like somewhere in the 25, 20%.
yeah. A lot of big changes happened this offseason too, where there's a lot of massive rebuilds on teams, and there was also on the teams that didn't have massive rebuilds, they had coach changes, and that means their scheme changing.
Or brain
So
drain.
a lot,
Like,
yeah,
The Ravens, like
Yeah.
everybody on the Ravens got new jobs. Like not just Mike McDonald, but like everybody.
exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what's going on with Harbaugh? And it's like, well, he lost all his staff. Like, he's got to work on that too. Like,
Yeah, half of them went to the Chargers. Like
yeah, exactly. Like,
I also think we're starting to see a precipitation of the impact of the changing of the guard that we've
the
brought
quarterback
on
guard.
by the loss of the 2020 season due to COVID. We had a college program shut down.
Yep.
There was the wonkiest draft ever was the 2020, and then just that season was so weird. Like we had Tom Brady lifting a Lombardi trophy in Florida. It was just such a weird season. And
Who would
think about what happened immediately following that. We had all these new rookie quarterbacks, quote unquote rookie. We've had I consider the 2021 forward kind of the new guard, the new quarterbacks. The last season we had 70 something different starting quarterbacks because of all the injuries and everything.
It's
But
just
then
been
think about all the
crazy.
quarterbacks that are gone now that we've been so used to watching, like Philip Rivers
Drew Brees?
and Drew Brees and Tom Brady and all these
Manning's-
quarterbacks that are just
I mean,
There's no
legends.
Manning in the
even
league. What's
both
going on
Mannings
here?
to an extent, like
I
they
mean,
kind of
although
started
Arch
it.
Manning's going to come in and like end up on Carolina, and like
Fucking
we're all going to
Arch
have to be
Manning,
sad.
dude.
I mean, you have a point, right? There's not very many passing pocket quarterbacks left
The
in
running quarterback
in
took
the
over
league.
too, right? Like
So
Yeah.
that's the thing though, Steve. I am getting so fucking sick of this
it's not.
dual threat quarterback because
mean,
whenever it seems
yeah.
like when people say dual threat quarterback, they mean a running back.
Well,
Because
because not everybody can be Michael Vick, bro.
well,
Yeah, I
here's
mean,
the
like
thing.
there's a
Yo,
lot of people who
here's
are
the thing.
trying. Like
all the managers of these teams, right, are looking at players like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and they're thinking, I want to get that guy. And they don't remember how rough the start of both of those guys' careers were. And then they go out and they're looking at players like Jaden Daniels and Caleb
well, I mean,
Williams.
that's why Daniel Jones still has a place in this league because people think he can be that guy after like some magical
Daniel
thing
Jones is like
happens.
he's more of the prototypical pocket passer
Right.
quarterback.
That's how he
I'm talking
profiles, but
about
he
like,
runs too. I mean,
this is a bad example, but like Kyler Murray, he's like an example of this working out where he is truly a dual threat quarterback. But then we look at players that like
Kyler follows a different
Lamar
mold
Jackson,
than
he's inconsistent. Like he's
Lamar
got this
Jackson's in
crazy
the
high
middle.
ceiling,
Like
but then he's like he randomly goes through stints where he's just got noodle arms. Like we saw, literally, they lost the game against the Chiefs because he couldn't connect with Zay Flowers, who
yeah,
had
I feel like
like
Lamar's
he had
problem
an
is
Iowa
like
cornfield between him and the next DB, and he couldn't hit him.
I
Like
know it's bad.
what?
His accuracy issues are like bad, and it seems like it's like a confidence issue or something. Like I don't really know. It's like the talent that is there. It's just no consistency for Lamar. But like, yeah, I mean,
I've
like
been saying that
even
for
then,
fucking years, and you guys were like, "Oh no, he's one of the best
No,
running
he's great for
QBs in
fantasy,
the league."
and
yeah,
that's
I mean,
always been
he's
my
great
position.
fantasy. You're right. No, like you're right. Like
If you have him, I
careful
feel bad if
evaluation
I
of the
have one of
tape.
his weapons. Like Zay Flowers is doing stuff, and Mark Andrews are pretty much
It
like
can be okay, but that's it.
working out. Like Andrews has been a stud
But
in the
that's because
past.
he's like a middle of the field guy. Like it's
It's
not
easy for him to hit,
Yeah,
And
like
he had
like the arm strength thing is like Lamar fits that category of questionable arm strength. Joe Burrow has always fit the questionable arm strength category. Like there are guys in the league that make it and are good that
and
do that.
there's
But it's
another
just like
question,
right,
man.
but well,
Is
hold
have
on, Steve.
linebackers got better at coverage?
Well,
Like
no,
we
here's
have a
my
lot of
point.
yes, they
faster,
have.
rangier coverage linebackers. You know, like
I mean,
is the
they're down
easier
20
is the middle of
pounds.
the
Yeah.
field easy harder to hit? Like
Well, here's my question.
that's the defensive
Is
adjustment you'd make.
that's one thing to consider for sure is linebacker play, because that definitely
Linebackers
impacts
are
the
down 20
quarterback.
pounds from the 250 to 230 coming out. Like
Exactly. You've got
everybody's
speedier,
chasing Roquan Smith
rangier.
and Warner, who
Right.
are 230, and
Mm-hmm.
like I mean, Junior Colson just got drafted because of that. Like the
Yep.
last guy who was like a true 250 coverage linebacker was Bobby and Luke
Yeah.
Kuechly. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
We're not seeing that much.
after
I
that,
wouldn't
it's
even put Luke
30
Kuechly
guys.
in that. I wouldn't even put Luke Kuechly in that fucking conversation.
He
Yeah,
was
I think
good.
that's a point. I think that's a point we're not necessarily considering here is that we're seeing a change in defensive scheme to like prevent middle of the field dink and dunk play a little bit more.
I mean, you got T.J. Watt right now, but that's it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Is it's the defensive changes is definitely a piece of the equation. But to me, an equally important aspect of this is from the college level. You have all these quarterbacks that are molding their bodies and are creating they're forming their play style around the dual threat quarterback because that's what's in demand.
So it's
If you're
popular.
just if you're a pure pocket passer, you're going to get passed over for a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's just a freak athlete. But then when we see Anthony Anthony Richardson play on a NFL field, it's pure chaos. The dude cannot complete a pass, even though he's a freak and he can throw a ball
On
for
a
400 air yards or whatever. He can get it from
yard.
end zone to end zone with his arm, which is insane.
Yeah,
But
crazy.
he's just inconsistent as hell. Like
it doesn't matter if you're not accurate.
I mean,
well, it matters
even
because
then, it
the
doesn't
Colts
matter if you have
are
no
losing
time.
games. You know,
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can throw from end zone to end zone, but if you're not fucking accurate with it, who fucking cares?
Right.
I mean, the Colts have a myriad of problems, and they don't start or end with Anthony Richardson. Like they're all together there. that big old mess.
Think about all the quarterbacks that have failed recently that are considered kind of that dual threat. Like Zach Wilson was a guy that was heralded for being a scrambling quarterback. Trey Lance was a dual threat quarterback, picked third overall, and was replaced by a pocket passer. You have just countless examples of
a pocket passer
quarterbacks
who
coming
can
from
scramble.
college.
I think that's key. Is like this.
Bryce Young is the most recent one. Like
Yeah.
this week
Yeah.
got benched, and he's a dual. He wasn't really a dual threat quarterback, but he was known as in college. He was known for his ability to process defenses, roll out of the pocket, and hit people on the move.
Yeah,
it's just, but he was,
it's easy
completely,
to be, that in college. It's different.
Completely busted already.
I think the general push towards the running quarterback is not just like the prototypes that have made it and are at the top of the league, but it's also like it's a way that teams are trying to compensate for the like overcoming the dink and dunk stuff to create explosives. Like if you can extend plays, then the dink and dunk is not the end all because you can extend a play like what Kyler Murray did,
you
like
extend a drive
8 seconds
to
outside of the pocket.
play an explosive.
Like, that's what they're trying to do. But it's like it's not. I mean, we watched it as Seahawks fans. Like Russ would have like 3 quarters of just like aggravating, terrible play, and then magic in the fourth quarter. And like, it's like, I mean, that's just like the nature of running quarterbacks.
Well, here's the thing. That's the vogue now.
That's the nature of the Seahawks, bro. What are you talking about? That's
Well, I
always
mean,
been like that for the Seahawks.
magical
prototype
fourth quarter
for,
play is
like,
absolutely a football thing. Like it's the
well,
memorable
you know why?
thing.
It's teams that are defense heavy.
Yeah.
And they can't really spend money on offense. Will struggle on the offense, but as long as the offense can put up a couple touchdowns and a field goal, it'll be fine.
Right.
Because they have an amazing defense that's going to stop the other team from being able to do anything.
I mean, also Russ was like the prototype for the running quarterback. Like in that same, like there were 3 guys in that era.
In that era, yeah.
I mean,
that, like,
okay.
Well, he was like
and,
a running prospect, but the reason that he got popular was because he was a dual threat from baseball that had an amazing arm with accuracy because he was a pitcher. So it's like, well, him and Kyler, both of them, both of them did. Yeah. I mean, Russ ended up he plays in the offseason with the Rangers, right? Or is that?
That was the Yankees.
The Yankees.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Gross.
I don't think he actually plays. I think it's just like he goes to training
like a
camp
reserve or something. Like. Anyway,
let me look real quick. Anyways, so he was a decent scrambler that had an amazingly accurate arm.
I will clip the Wikipedia that if you link it to me into the, I'll clip it into the podcast there.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that the takeaway is we have a lot of young talent in the league that's figuring it out or will quickly get sifted out. Like Bryce Young, I think, was the first of many to go. And I'm not just talking about quarterbacks. I'm talking about a lot of young receivers, tight ends, defensive players that just don't fit in this modern scheme. Or we'll be coached up to fit in the modern scheme, and we'll see what happened. And I think that the emergence of Jameson Williams is a good example of that working in the other direction. Clearly, he figured something out, and he's starting to emerge. And that's part of the reason why I think Sam Laporta is struggling, is because he's starting to be used in the way that Sam Laporta was used last season. So
right.
Yeah, they have more.
They've more weapons to spread around. in
The other thing
Detroit.
too is like I hope it works out for the Lions only because they in the last like 3 to 4 years they truly have let dudes to like fail through it and continue to play, and like we're seeing the outcome of their process, and if they're successful then other people will copy them because that's how sports works.
Yep.
And so like at a very meta level, like that process, if it works, may trickle out. Like because there's like you know, Drake May got drafted because and Anthony Richardson got drafted because Josh Allen overcame the accuracy issues. It's the same deal. Like if you have a pathway and a playbook, some GM will say, "Hey, we can do it too. We just gotta like put
We
the
can
infrastructure
replicate
in
this
place."
with the right
Yeah.
personnel. We can make it work. I mean,
Yeah.
what have the Packers done with quarterbacks for the last 30 years? Like,
Yeah, every time there's a sitting quarterback, like the Packers come up, it's like, oh, well, maybe they can do it, and it's like, you know,
right.
early in the
It's what Atlanta's
Jordan
up
Love
to. Like,
experiment too,
we
but
get it.
like, yeah,
We've seen it work.
like it's yeah,
I really like these teams that are following the Chiefs model for developing their young quarterback. I'm not a fan of just throwing the rookie to the wolves. I understand that for
Why is
teams
this
like
the Chiefs
Denver,
model? Come on.
well, it's because this is
I mean,
you cannot say that Patrick Mahomes at this point, when you compare it to Aaron Rodgers,
well, also
I'm
because
sorry, Patrick Mahomes is better than Aaron Rodgers.
I
It's
mean
just in
now,
every
yeah.
way. In every way.
yeah, no, well, it's not just that. It's like no other team has ever
Yeah,
gone from the Hall of Fame to Hall of Fame to Hall of Fame quarterback and drafted them or like got them in a way where they already had the Hall of Fame quarterback. Like Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. Anybody who's going to say Alex Smith, a Hall of Fame quarterback, is like on drugs.
bullshit.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, my point is that it's
Thank
at
you, Joe.
least a
That is the
year.
point I'm trying to make. I agree what the Chiefs have done is fantastic, but like it's a different scenario.
No, I conceded that. But the point is at least a year, like what the Chiefs did,
Yeah,
give it
sitting them
least
for a
a
year
year.
is a good plan.
Is
Objectively.
I think and when I say that Chiefs model, I mean that it giving the rookie a year
Yeah.
minimum to learn behind a veteran is the way that it should be done. And we see time after time after time again that is giving the rookie the highest, no matter how skilled they are, the highest
Yep.
chance for success. That's
Absolutely.
why I'm much higher on players like Drake May or Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy because they're
They get a
JJ
chance
McCarthy
to
was kind of forced into it, but
yeah, but still.
regardless, all those players will be able to sit, learn the offense, and then next year or a year after that get their shot. And I think they will be much better for it and will have much longer careers than Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix or whoever that's starting this season,
Mental
starting
reps are
in the
great.
season they got drafted. Look at Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Absolute failure. CJ Stroud
Look,
is
you
the
see ghosts.
exception
Like
to
you
the
get
rule.
sacked to death. Like it happens. Like and
there's plenty of examples of like people failing because they get hit too much. I mean,
yeah.
David Carr, Sam Howell. Like Sam Howell, like almost was leading the league last year in like passing yards, but like, yeah, there's
Well,
no
I
way
mean,
anybody can watch his play and be like, yeah,
even
that guy's
yeah,
a franchise dude.
it's wrecked. I mean, it's bad. It sucks. It's terrible. It's the worst part of the NFL in a lot of ways.
The thing is,
But
though, is that Sam
it
Howell,
happens.
using that as an example, Sam Howell was not a highly touted prospect by any stretch of the imagination. I think he was projected
Okay.
as more of a project quarterback, maybe
Alex Smith
like a
then to like
backup.
turn it back. Like,
I
you
mean, it's
know,
still like,
he
you
played for
develop
many
bad
years,
habits in
but
a bad
still.
system, in a bad situation. And it's, that's not like just because you're a first overall pick like Alex Smith does not make you immune to that. Bryce Young being the other example. Like,
Yeah.
it's still however many, like, you know, however
Or
many
fucking
snaps
Zach
of
Wilson,
of
like
bad
or
play.
Trey Lance, or like any of
Sam
these.
Darnold,
Yeah,
like
like
Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, like all
look,
these guys, like at the beginning of their year, like 10 years in the league, like were terrible.
awful. just ruined by bad situations too. And like, I mean, Trey Lance is a unique one there, and what like should have been a good situation gone terribly wrong because of injury, but still, like,
I'm not convinced it was all injury. I'm pretty sure that they
That was
didn't like his attitude
yeah, I mean that's
either.
probably a part of it. I mean, but you get injured that early on in your rookie, you get fucked up.
He
Like shit's fucked up.
he got he got
He
shafted
got a
so
raw
hard.
deal and didn't take it well. And when
Because
you're
if you
that young,
remember
that makes
this
sense.
season,
But you don't
this
have the
season he
patience
was
for
the
that if you're
starter.
an NFL guy.
When it was the will they won't they with Garoppolo,
Yeah,
and they Trey Lance was the starter. It was week 1. He played in a monsoon where the players were literally slip and sliding around the stadium, and then the following week, the Seahawks killed him. So that was
destroyed
his
him.
career.
Yep.
He broke
Yep.
his ankle, and that was it. Brock Purdy after
Yeah.
that.
Right.
I think too, like I mean, a lot of the examples recently are dudes who come out extremely young with very few games played. Like yesterday, or not yesterday, but Sunday was Anthony Richardson's 18th game since high school. Like that is
That's
or
wild.
like or no 36th game because he had like 2
That's
seasons.
still
He has the same number of games played as Drake May right now since high school. Like yeah, some of them are NFL and not college, but it's like that's still not a lot of games. It's just not. It's not a lot of snaps. It's not a lot of
I mean
experience.
that
Like,
if he's got 36 games, it's like literally a 50-50 split nearly. Maybe a
That's
little
more
bit
of an argument
maybe a
for
little bit
letting
more.
him sit and develop. I love that they've got Jacoby Brissett in there. It sucks for fantasy, and I hate watching the Patriots offense. I have for years,
Oh, it's
but
terrible.
and I don't even know if Drake May is going to come in and they're going to look any different. Hopefully they will, because the more good teams that are in the NFL, the better the product is, the more exciting it is, and then people like us who play fantasy
We're
have more
happier
fun.
about it. Yeah.
Like, I would love to have the Patriots offense really open up.
It'd be
Like,
great
wouldn't
if
it be
they were
great if
putrid
all those
forever, but
offensive
like
weapons
there
were
can only be
something?
so many putrid teams. Like
Yeah,
wouldn't it be great if like the Patriots had more options than Ramondre Stevenson running for however many yards a game? Like, and
I
that's
would,
it.
Jalen Polk really should show up, and Hunter Henry, who did yesterday or last week, finally show up for once in his goddamn life.
well, they played the Seahawks, who have this
Yeah,
incredible innate
ability
superpower to just
just
completely. It's like they
ignore
put on
tight
the
ends.
invisibility
Yeah,
cloak. If you're a tight end, like if you
yeah.
wear 87, you're just invisible
To the
to all the
Seahawks. Yeah,
DBs and
yeah,
linebackers in
absolutely. We just
Seattle.
ignore you completely.
If they get past the line, it's over.
Yeah. Did you see him rocket up the stat sheet? Like he went from it was
Of
really
course.
funny. Like 2 weeks ago, he was at the absolute fucking bottom of the tight end barrel. To today, he's like way up at the top, and it's like, oh cool, you
Yeah.
boomed once. You're gonna be living
Yeah,
off
if you're
that for forever in the stats
I
because
mean,
of
that just goes
averages.
back to what Trevor was saying about like Travis Kelsey and all the other tight ends. It's
Yeah,
just
exactly. It's a
and
wasteland.
nothing like and all the things that like all the hype trains around like tight end is fixed were just an unbelievable lie. We all got gaslit so hard.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Well, no, it's been a tight end dominant league for like 3-4 years now,
Yeah.
and so I mean, like I said, eventually it's gonna swap into a wildcat league because of how much they use it
It's you know what?
in college. But it
God,
looks
I
like it's on
hated
its
watching
way.
the
I think I
Seahawks
said
do that.
last year that we were gonna have a running back heavy year next year, but maybe I'm crazy.
I don't think you're
I
wrong.
wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it was a good call. Like,
And
I
yeah,
think I thought the same thing was like after seeing Kyron and Pacheco just like do some outside running,
Ah.
but like really it was a power run game that they like were doing mostly. Like,
Too bad we lost Pacheco.
dude, I am.
That's
Oh,
awful
man.
awful for the sport.
Ugh.
Too
Bad
bad
news.
for our champion, but
Yeah.
for the sport.
Yeah, my check down. It's gone.
I love the overpay on Pirine too. Like this is the
Dude,
next.
Oh,
what
that
am I
shit was
gonna do with
hilarious.
that?
Bro's like
but-
95 years old, and you guys are fucking tripping on getting Sam J.
No,
I
dude.
need to virtually dap up Joe real quick because
Yeah, no, double out bidders, this
Steve.
fuckers. God, you know what? All right.
Matt messaged me. He was like, "Nice job." I was like, "Yeah, I'm just doing my part."
Yo. God damn it.
Dude, the best thing that will happen this season is if I never play P Ryan. just wasted all that fab. That's the best outcome.
Yeah, it's true.
So let's talk about that for a sec. So we have 6 running backs that the Chiefs could pivot to. They got what's that? Carson
Steele,
Steele.
Superman,
Carson
The alligator
Steele,
man.
who's
Steve,
who's
you have
listed
to
as
rename
So,
it the
so
alligator
Steele
man.
is
Dude.
who they plan
I'm
on
playing
going
him.
with this week.
Rename him Alligator Man. Yeah, okay.
He has a pet alligator.
Dundee. Yeah. Oh,
does
what?
have a pet
He has a
alligator.
pet alligator? Holy
Yeah.
fuck!
Dude,
Let me
yes.
change this right now. Like, oh my god.
So we
you
got
guys are
Carson
gonna
Steele.
know exactly when the podcast is being recorded because you can get this by the fucking timestamp of me changing his goddamn name to Alligator Dundee in this moment. Holy moly!
And then we have
Load
It's a pretty normal
basket.
thing in Florida, by the way. I had one when I was living in Florida.
Oh, that's great.
Then we have Samaje Perine. By the way, Carson Steele, I think, was listed. He's listed on their depth chart as a fullback.
Yeah,
Just
he's
listed as a fullback.
right
And then you have Samaje Perine, who we're all very familiar with his game at this point. And then I think we have Keontae Ingram.
He got elevated from the
He
practice.
got elevated from PS. And then who
Kareem
else?
Hunt
They have CEH, who's on IR because he has PTSD from winning too many trophies.
Yep.
And then we have
For doing nothing and winning all those trophies.
Yep.
Yeah, for
And then
not
we have
doing
Kareem-
anything and
Well,
winning
he
a ton
had
of
some
trophies.
clutch plays in the playoffs. Let's be honest, but he's terrible
Kareem
for
Hunt,
fantasy.
who just got signed to the practice squad.
Sorry, who?
Kareem Hunt. Got
Oh
signed
yeah,
to the-
and Kareem Hunt, of course. It was going to be so that's 5. That's 5 running backs that they can choose from. I just don't think that if one of them, if Kareem Hunt has a resurgence and he looks amazing, like he did in
Thank you.
2017, 2018, that's great. I am not sure
I don't
it's
think
going to
it's that
happen.
likely.
I
I
believe.
think the most likely thing to happen with the Chiefs running backs is the year that CEH got drafted, and it was him, Williams, Damian Dorian, something or other Williams, and
So they had Damian Williams,
Jameson
and
Williams
they had
and Dorian
CEH
Williams? Was it both
and-
of
no,
them?
not Dorian. It was 2 Williamses. It was like Damian and I don't know. It was 2. I think it was 2. I can't remember. It was
Yeah.
the
They
Chiefs
had
had a
two-
running back by committee since Hunt left.
and
up until
basically,
Pacheco.
and then like
Oh,
they
and Jerick
basically
McKinnon. They could re-sign Jerick. That's 6.
that's
Jerick
6, yeah.
McKinnon's the 6th one.
He's a free
But
The
agent.
reason
Jerick
I believe
McKinnon,
in Hunt is
That's the
because
rule. That's like what
Andy-
they're gonna do. I think they're
Andy
just gonna do that.
Reid was talking about him, saying that he wants to give him another chance and that
Yeah.
everybody deserves second chances as long as they've worked on it, blah, blah. But then he immediately puts him on the practice squad. So I'm like confused on if they're just
Right.
trying to like kill this new kid, Carson Steele, and just
Well, they're
like
giving Carson Steele a chance, is what they're doing.
Yeah, they're giving him one game to prove himself, and if not, then Kareem Hunt is back in a big way.
Well, no, then Keontae Ingram gets
then
touches.
Keontae-
Kareem
yeah,
Hunt gets
yeah.
touches, and
They're
and it's a
letting-
true committee.
They're
It
letting
is a true
Steele
committee.
do it once, I think. But they're willing
Well, I
to.
do think he's. No, I think he's gonna get the
They liked him enough in the preseason to keep him as a fullback.
Well, he's gonna get all the Jerick McKinnon stuff.
Yeah, all the
Bijan is gonna
non-passing
get all the
down.
Jerick McKinnon stuff. That's what's gonna happen. It's
The kid can catch, so we'll see.
sure, I guess. Okay.
He's not.
One thing to
yeah.
consider though is that during the
not
off
fast.
season when they signed Perine, Hunt was available. So they
Right.
they could have signed him then.
yeah, but they
decided
didn't
not
want to.
And
Yeah.
no other team did.
Well, I mean, let's not act like Kareem Hunt looked amazing the last 2 seasons.
Oh no, he looked like he's washed.
He looked pretty
Yeah.
gassed.
Not
Yeah.
good. It looked bad. There was a
Didn't
reason
look
Nick
good.
Chubb was getting all them touches.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Chubb
Other
is
than
Nick
Nick
Chubb. Like Nick
Sure.
Chubb is a stud. You cannot not give him the ball, I always didn't like that situation anyway when Kareem Hunt was cut, and since the Browns are just morally bankrupt, they didn't care. Just a side
The
note,
Chiefs,
I
it's
don't.
amazing that you
I
get
think
cut
the
from the
Kareem Hunt
Chiefs.
controversy is so overblown. I've seen the video. It's so stupid. I get why he got cut. I get why people are mad, but the whole situation was just so fucking dumb to me, especially when you consider the shit that Joe Mixon did, and no one seems to care about that.
Facts.
Yeah.
He's on video slamming a chick's face through a table.
Yeah, we need to.
And no one cares about that. But Kareem Hunt goes up and taps his chick on the back with his foot. And suddenly he's the demon. And then Tyreek Hill punched his pregnant girlfriend in the stomach.
Well, multiple.
We don't care about that.
He's done that a few times. Like, not once. He's done that a few times.
Yeah. Like, there's just a lot of pieces of shit in the league. And Kareem Hunt isn't one of them, in my opinion.
Well, he's like, if you want to call him the piece of shit on the scale, like, there's some other ones. Like, we still haven't mentioned Deshaun, guys. Like,
he goes without saying.
Yeah.
I'm just glad he's playing like
fucking shitbags. Like, yeah.
They shouldn't have got rid of Baker. Baker is a baller.
Like, dude, Baker right now is
I was actually
gonna
bring him up because he is like a pocket guy. Like, he's not really scrambling. He's not really running.
Oh, dude, did you see that video from his press conference? They were like, how do you feel about your longest run? He's like, what was it, 11 yards? He's like, oh, I'm so sad. Because, yeah, 11 yards.
That's amazing. Baker Mayfield, best pocket passer in the league right now.
Dude, how dare you disrespect Derek Carr? How dare you?
Amazing that that's the case too. It's like it's those two. Like,
yo, Who Dat Nation, rise up.
They have 90.
Where are we? What are we doing here?
This is wild. I mean, like the Saints come into life in the early season, like while everyone else is sleeping, is wild.
Yeah, shout out to the Kamara game, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to
I sent Steve a clip for that.
Yeah, okay, good.
A literally broken play that turns into a 54-yard touchdown is absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Okay,
I mean, Kamara's like, if he continues to do what Kamara does, he should be a easy, at least second ballot Hall of Famer type.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, easy. Like, yeah, like he's turning into ageless if he stays healthy this season.
To be aggressive in these situations. Again, he doesn't want to be in third down much against this defense. He's going to try to gain it here on second down.
Pressure coming. They set up a screen. Oh, there's a lot of room. Alvin Kamara, room to roll. Alvin Kamara's going to score. Touchdown.
Wow. Cannot seem to find an answer here early. Again, second down play, a little bit of a get back on track and a dump it down on a screen play. And he's got a wall of blockers tipped in out there.
For
He's
sure.
29.
Yeah.
He's got another 3 years in him.
Kirk?
Dude.
Kamara.
Don't put that even on me, Ricky Bobby.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
3 years?
Look how old Mostert is.
Yeah, but this is usually
Kamara is also
age 29.
This is typically the retirement year for running backs like Kamara. He's not wrong. But
I'm not saying he's gonna go out and be a.
That was back in the day when you could actually hit people, and nowadays you can't actually fucking hit people. So
maybe I think he's got 2 years maximum. That's it, 2.
Of fantasy relevance, he's gonna probably play until he's 33, 34.
Yeah,
okay,
33.
Sure. He'll be a
off of Trevor's dynasty roster in 4 years. That's for damn sure. I don't think he'd be holding on to him that long.
Yeah,
although maybe he'll keep.
I've had him
an
every
IR
fucking year.
He'll need the IR spot, man.
He'll be on IR for 3 years.
Need the bench spot because the IR is going to fill up every fucking year. The IR fills up
every year.
Yeah,
it'd be hard to
add another one. Yeah,
I'm enjoying my spot on the least injured teams list for now, which is an awesome new feature on the TLoOJ tools.
The only league that I haven't picked him since he was a rookie was this vampire league we're doing in the Renton League.
Yeah.
So that says a lot, dude. He's like one of my favorite players ever to play the game.
Dude, he's so much fun to watch. Like,
I remember going over to your house at some point and we watched the Saints game or whatever. I was like, it was before I got you to start playing fantasy. I was like, this Alvin Kamara kid's fucking sick. And you're like, he's so slippery.
Bro wears a grill for a fucking mouthpiece instead of a fucking mouthpiece. How can you not like him?
It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Well, let's use that as a segue to the TLoOJ tools stuff.
Yeah, let's. I set that up so well, and then you just went right back to Kamara. You asshole.
That's fine.
Like
the what? The what?
Wait, you haven't seen my website?
Oh, TLoOJ
I've
tools.
I've seen you post like screenshots of it, but
No,
I've
you
never
should
actually
check this
used it.
out. It's actually
Yeah, you
really
should
cool
actually-
now. The features are getting dope.
Yep. So I'll just go over basically what this is doing. So this is a website that I've built from scratch. It is all custom designed, everything. And what it does is it queries our sleeper league, and then it goes out and it gets stats from PFR and then aggregates them and then does some nerdy shit that Joe helped me with. And basically it's like a repository for you to go look at your teams and your stats. So like for example,
I just want to say something, right? Go click on my team real quick. Yeah, running back and defensive line. Number
Yep.
one.
Yep.
That's the only thing I
Yeah.
talk about. That's
Okay,
the only thing I
so
talk about.
one question before we get too much further: how often does it query?
every hour and a half.
Every hour and a half? Okay.
Yeah, it's updating constantly, and then after game days, I spent so much time trying to fix and like get this all working because I broke it so many times. Then Josh would do stupid shit like go in and grab a bunch of retired players named Josh, and it would break it, and then I have to fix that and everything.
Good
But
QA.
I got it nailed down. It's fucking solid at this point, and it should work.
That's dope, man.
But basically, so like on your page here, like Trevor's rankings, for example, what it does is it's going through every team and it's taking every player and it looks and it says, okay, this position, so quarterback, right? This player's quarterback, and then I have an algorithm set up that pulls our scoring settings from Sleeper in real time and then aggregates all of the stats, applies fantasy points calculations similarly to what Sleeper does, and then adds it takes the fantasy points, puts it into a table, and then adds all the stats together, all the fantasy points, and then takes a ratio of how many points your quarterbacks have scored, for example, versus the whole league, and then tiers them out in a list. So, Trevor, you have this is more of a gauge of, I guess, depth than it is how many superstars you have.
Yeah.
This is basically just saying like, between Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, and Matt Stafford, you have the sixth most points at the quarterback position. But then you think about, I think this ranking is kind of makes sense though, because like you have a pretty stacked defensive line, like
Yeah, you
with
got a lot of
all these
dudes.
defensive linemen that you
Fuck.
have, it's insane. You have so many
You
points
have-
here. You have Khalil Mack, T.J. Watt, Jared Verse, Byron Murphy.
I have the line.
You have all the
that-
defense.
Yeah,
so it
you
makes
have
sense that
everybody.
my
You have
rankings
everybody
are
that's
such
good.
that you
Yeah.
have one.
I think
Anyway-
also what this does as like a very baseline thing is it weights who has, it's the depth thing, but who has like the most, like more, just because like you're summing over everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, right.
so this
So, like,
updates every game day. So I have a separate thread that's running that after game days happen, it updates all the stats from the game day. So basically immediately after the game, not the moment after because I have to wait for PFR to update their database. But basically 5 a.m. our time, it goes in and it pulls all the stats from PFR.
The
and
only thing that
then-
I see that's out of whack is the St. Jabroni's Hospital.
What? I was
Because
going
it
to get to
says
that.
okay.
I was going to get to that, but we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, we'll
but
talk about the
that should be
hospital in a
working.
bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about the hospital in a second. But yeah, the rankings are all here. And
That's
then Joe, there's also a transactions panel, so you can go through and look at all the recent transactions and stuff. And then Joe helped me with an R script that goes through and it pulls all of the stats. And Joe can explain more about what this is actually doing because it kind of fries my brain. I just helped him write the script. But
I
it does some
appreciate that 'cause-
really nerdy shit that's really cool, and it plots automatically updates this image with tiering. So it clusters all of these players together, and basically the way you can read this is it's plotting their average snaps over fantasy points. So basically what you want is you want to try and get players that land in this shadow zone in the middle of the screen, because that's a good indication of efficiency and power in terms of your roster. So like for example, Lamar Jackson is kind of square in there because he has a good number of snaps. He's not getting too few, and he's not getting too many and not producing enough. But he's scoring a shitload of fantasy points. Baker Mayfield's falling outside of the shadow zone because his efficiency is he's
He's
And
doing
doing
better actually.
more. He's doing more
below
with
the
less.
curve is good. If
But
you're
you
doing
want-
more with less, you're doing better.
Right, but ideally, what you want is you want to see more snaps and more points. You want
Right,
to be like
right.
far up in the corner, the upper left. Basically, you want
yeah.
tons of
Yeah.
snaps, tons of points.
And I
But
just want to
anyway,
very briefly go over like just how the groups are because it's like pretty easy to tell right now. Like
also,
how it's
P.S. The
gone.
clusters are kind of fucked up. It's supposed to basically right is the least powerful, like down here in the corner. These players
No,
suck.
that's actually a really good. Those are great waymarks down there in Clayton Tune and Drew Lock.
Because they don't
like,
do anything.
They're nothing.
Right?
Yeah, they're bad. And
right.
you got
And then
Lamar
what
kind
it's
of at the
supposed to do is
top
it's
corner.
supposed to color them kind of like this, where like red is good, and then as the colors get cooler, they get worse. But I need to fix the code so that it works better. But anyway, what were you gonna say, Joe?
So like the way that the groups function is players that are alike or have a similar play style should be colored the same. Like is really what's going on. If like that changes,
Right. Okay.
then we'll have to go back and look at like what's going like I'll have to go back and like change things. But as long as that's working, like that's what it's supposed to be doing. So
Here's
like
one.
you can
So we're
see all
talking
the
about
Jalen Hurts.
rushing
Well,
quarterbacks, pocket passers, kind of like intermediate
Dual threat.
and
well, it's like so we're looking. So the elite guys, like you see, like all of like Jalen Hurts, Lamar, Jane Daniels, Kyler Murray, and Anthony Richardson are in one group. That makes complete sense. Josh Allen should be there, but he's just not doing the things
he's not
that are
doing it
similar to
enough
no
right
trap.
now.
He's not
Yeah.
rushing enough. He's not like scoring touchdowns enough. Um, he's like, I mean,
He's Josh Allen.
he had a
He's
cut of the
Mush
game.
Allening. Yeah. Like
Yeah, he turned Mushed Allen in the second week. So like
Yeah.
that should change at a certain point, and he should be in that group because that's his play style. And like, you see like Geno Smith and Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and CJ Stroud, all pocket passers. Like they're doing the same thing. Like that's their average
Yeah.
depth of target.
That's
like
like
they're not
pocket
rushing
passers
much.
with some
You know?
scramble, with like
Yeah.
decent scramble at this point. Derek Carr is the anomaly there.
Yeah, I mean, and then you like the purple one, like Justin Herbert, Will Levis, Jordan Love, like that's capturing just they've hurt themselves, they're not passing enough, they're throwing too many interceptions.
They're Bryce Young.
They're
Bryce
Malik
Young.
Willis.
Yeah, they're not doing good. Like, yeah,
Not good, Bob.
Not good.
yeah, it's
Bob.
bad.
It's
They're
bad
doing
news.
bad things.
Bad news,
Caleb
son.
Williams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, not that it's Jordan Love's fault, but
I mean,
So-
don't
He's
get hurt
One-
like it's the
yeah,
NFL.
thing-
yeah, he's injured.
So you guys kind of didn't let me say this, but to kind of capture what's going on with Baker right now is that when you're doing so well and you're scoring that many points that fast, you're not going to have more snaps.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, no,
So that's good. You want to be all the way over here, right?
Yeah.
The idea is that
the further to the right you are.
ideally, Baker was up here because the potential is that Baker could be like up here.
I mean,
way more points for your team.
The scenario is the Bucks blow them out, or the Bucks are in a shootout, or the Bucks are in this defensive battle, right?
Yep.
And like you want more shootouts because that's gonna bring up the total, right? Just generally. But so far the Bucks' games have been like pretty high scoring in terms of yardage, but not a lot of touchdowns, if I'm remembering correctly. At least against the Lions.
So here's a good demonstration of what I mean by you want to have a player in the shadow zone. We have Alvin Kamara, who went absolutely fucking crazy this week, right? Or last week, I should
Yeah.
say. And then we have Saquon Barkley, who's been consistently good through two great weeks in a row. So they're both great options, and they both should be tiered in at the same cluster, I guess. But the difference here is that Alvin Kamara has done the opportunity cost is less with him just because he's had less snaps but hasn't scored as many fantasy points as Saquon per snap, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Even though he's scored more points, you
He's-
want him
he's
to have more
pushing
snaps so
their
he
touches
can score
faster.
more points than Saquon. You know what I mean?
Like it's more efficiency with the snaps he's gotten. It doesn't mean, I mean, obviously that turns into more points. It doesn't mean like it means he has a much higher ceiling than
Yeah.
Saquon Saquon, supposedly.
I think this is
I
a
just feel
better
like
way.
this works for defense better than offense.
Oh, it works great for defense, actually. I really like the clusters for defense. They're really like Brian Branch way out here for DBs
Yeah, no,
and
it makes
Julian
a lot
Love.
of
They've
fucking
been
sense.
absolute studs. So I wanted to create this tool, and I'm really happy that Joe was able to. Joe actually reached out to me before I wanted to make this website and wanted to work on a project together, and I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I want to do some nerdy shit with data analysis and fantasy football, and this is what it basically turned into. But
Fun.
I like that this is a different way of thinking about, instead of just thinking like, oh, this is a top 10 running back or whatever. It's more of a visual kind of it's a literal clustering of players, because you can't really say like, Saquon's better than Alvin Kamara as a fantasy asset right now. They're pretty much equal based on what they've done so far, and I think this illustrates that point better than just putting them on a list and saying like Saquon number 1, Alvin Kamara number 2. You can look at this and think, I can see why they would be similar in value, and you can decide which one you like better based on
Anything.
their spatial positioning in the
Alvin
graph.
Kamara.
Well, of course you
Don't
don't.
say.
I mean, yeah, Trevor.
But like, look at this. Like, Aiden
I like the
Hutchinson-
guy on my
holy
team.
fuck, Aiden Hutchinson had such a game. Like,
this is
small
this is
sample size,
exactly
which actually is part of what I wanted to ask you is, what is the sample size? Is this just for the 2024 season
Yeah.
so
just for
far?
this is all
Like-
very current information, so it'll stretch it basically every week, every single game. This is updating. So if you
Okay.
refresh this after the game tomorrow, or rather on Friday morning, you refresh all the images, you'll see everything shifted
Things have
So
because
it's
it's
pre-
taking
so
in
it's-
the most
for the
recent
Thursdays.
data.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's pretty much Tuesday, Wednesday is when you want to look at these charts.
probably
After
yeah.
every game day. So I
Well,
have
no,
it. I have
because
the
no,
it's
you
going to be
want it-
skewed.
It's gonna be
Because it's going to be
skewed.
skewed.
Yeah, until you
Oh, yeah,
maybe
yeah,
you
for
like
sure.
Monday night at
Basically, yeah.
Tuesday.
To that point, yeah. Tuesday would be the good
Monday
time
to
to look at
Wednesday.
it because you'll have
Monday
the
night to
whole
Wednesday.
week's
Yeah.
data. Sorry, I was talking over you, Joe. What were you saying?
Oh, like the Monday night, like an hour and a half so after the game, like 2 hours. This should be updated based on
Okay.
what Scott said, and then up until like Thursday, like in the middle of the game, it'll start like it might update like
Oh, no,
2
no,
hours
no.
after.
So PFR doesn't update their database until like 3 a.m. Eastern time. So I have my script set to run at 5 a.m. after game days, which is basically Friday mornings, Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, Monday mornings, and then Tuesday.
Okay, so this queue starts on Friday morning.
Yeah.
Is
Basically that's when the
Yeah.
new stats actually
Queue
roll
starts
in.
Friday morning.
Because
So
I literally can't get them.
basically while games are going, don't bother. But like it's
Yeah.
fun for the in betweens and like determining how you want to like maybe navigate trades and values and stuff like that.
I wish I could get real
It's
time
tools.
feeds. Joe and I did a bunch of research on different APIs and stuff that we could use for stats, and everything is like $1,500 a month for an API, and it's just ridiculous. So what I created a custom way of going out, and I just grabbed the data from
This is really fucking
PFR's
cool.
database.
Yeah, it's
So
awesome.
I wanted to get into the actual like
Can
team
you
pages.
can
So
you
let's look
like actually name the colors on the cluster charts this week at some
So
point?
yeah, what I need to do is fix this so the cluster color matches what they are. So like, look, tier 1 isn't even here. Like there's a difference between the coloring and the actual cluster data,
You've
and I
got
need to.
some
I've been so
variable
busy with other
mismatch.
stuff with this site that I haven't been able to fix it yet.
I have a little
and
bit of background in R, if that's like part of the problem.
That's
so
what
I
this
can-
is written in.
I can
The
help.
whole site is written in Python, but this script is written in R.
Okay.
Like
Well,
as a
this is-
suggestion, right? Like you could make a color for QBs, we'll say rushing yards, right? Grant they're a rushing QB.
Or yeah, rushing priority or whatever.
The amount
Yeah,
of passes versus completion, then they're a pocket QB, right? So like I don't know if you can set your script to do that to make it populate the quarterbacks that are doing the more rushing yards or doing the more passes or
That's a question for Joe, because he actually, I made the script work, but he actually wrote the script, so I'm not
Okay.
sure how the math stuff works with it.
I think you can define variables to do that, but that would be
Well, okay, so
it's a
I'll
little
just say this,
confusing.
Trevor, to what you're saying. Like by the end of the season,
yeah.
it should all do that. Like
Cool.
we should see like the running quarterbacks in one group because they run and they get rushing touchdowns and like they're going to be weighted more to that. We're going to see the guys that are like, the pocket passers who throw like deep shots and like have really high ADOTs that are like outliers. We should see them in like a group.
Like
Like
the running backs that catch more balls than get handed off to them, like shit like that.
we should
Could we plug
We
there
last
should see
season's
that.
data
We should
into
see
it?
that in the top end of this graph here
yeah
at the end of season, and we already kind of see that right now with Alvin Kamara being insane.
yeah
Right.
You know,
And J.K.
there
Dobbins
is
being right there too. I
and
mean, like,
Bijan is catching so many passes. You know,
Yeah.
so
Right.
we're kind of seeing that breakout already. But right now, it's look at the other end of it. It's such a clusterfuck down here.
Yeah.
part of,
there's
part
not
of
much
one of the reasons
differentiation
why
there
this
yet.
is so messy is because it's such a small sample size of 2 games.
It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like yeah.
Which is
No,
is there
good
a way
fucking
that
job.
you could toggle to add all of last year's data?
That'd be kind of cool.
I can.
You
I have all of last year's data outputted.
I think one
But
thing
the problem with that is you have players that have entered the league, so you
Since
have
then,
new
yeah,
data
yeah,
points that
you're
affect the
like
clustering algorithm.
your
wanted to
rookies
bring
aren't
this
going to
up with
be,
Scott. Well, I wanted to bring this up with Scott after seeing this because like I think this is like really awesome in season, but for just like kind of posterity, we should save the final outcome of a season and just have it locked in. Like they could just be images. They don't have to pull anything.
No, totally.
So that you can see, like each year what
So
happened in the end.
Well,
yeah, I actually have done
this
that.
is too ambitious, but like you know how like Sleeper has the game log. I mean, it might be kind of cool to have like the each year kind of back and forth. And one thing I was talking to Scott about is the idea of doing them through time, so that you could look week by week how the graphs change. Kind of
That will require some engineering because this is just a scalar image.
Sure. No, I know.
So,
but like
the other thing too is like the actual change in how like there are visuals that like show how these clusters change and you can do comparisons of how they change. The problem is these visuals need to be explained to somebody because otherwise they don't make sense.
Right.
It's hidden behind a bunch of like math that like unless you're like deep in the weeds and like a huge math nerd, you're just like not gonna be aware of. And like
I still want to see this.
It's
but
yeah. I mean, it's there's
so just
cool
for what you asked, I thought of this beforehand. Before we rolled into next season, I did cluster analysis on last season's data, so I have all that here. This is the wide receiver cluster. So I do have all that, and I can put that on the site when we're done. So that was my plan: is year to year have archives.
Nice. Okay.
Because I wanted this website to be kind of like an archive of our dynasty league.
And so was Tyreek, but Tyreek did. Yeah.
Yeah, CD Lamb, absolute crazy season.
Absolute
Tyreek Hill,
yeah,
super efficient.
No, this looks good. Okay,
Kamara, like exactly what you expect from somebody who's getting the volume, like
so much volume. Yeah, exactly.
Puka Nacua,
Mike Evans and Puka and AJ and DJ too. Yeah, that all tracks. The Bears are surprising. Bears wide receivers are surprisingly high out here.
The thing is that all the data is there. I could rerun it again, but the problem is that I can't get a capture. I can't go back and then get the league state at that time because all you guys have exchanged players off your roster because this is pulling data from players that are actively rostered.
Oh,
Scott,
otherwise this would be so incredibly noisy. It would be really hard to parse.
Sure,
Scott, when you want, this is at the end of the season, just pull data from whenever you think it's appropriate for the season to end.
Yeah, probably what I'll do is I'll save a copy of the database at the end of the season.
Wait, why would you pull from the active roster list instead of just taking the top like 30 or top 50?
You gotta do
20.
like top 100 or whatever based on.
No. From each,
we own the top 100. Everybody has like our rosters are
not
so
always.
deep that we do. We capture every good player is rostered.
Yeah, well, that's right because we have such a big bench and a big IR that
every team has
Yeah.
like 40 players on their roster.
Right.
It's
Yeah, our league
crazy.
is a super deep league,
It's
especially
deep.
with IDP.
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's
when I was thinking
That's
about it, I
true.
was like, yeah, why don't I just pull it from a top 200 list or whatever? But it's like we got that.
No, which is why
Everyone owns all
we
the
gotta get
top
more
players.
trades going, folks. Like otherwise, there's no movement's gonna happen. Like
it is the only way to get players is to trade. To get
Yeah.
real players is to trade.
Yeah, I mean you can get an occasional waiver wire pickup, but that's about it.
that's like a
Also,
splash in the pan.
look how fucked tight end is. Look,
Yo,
Yeah, no,
for
it's
real.
really
that's a
bad.
mess.
Hey, look at all
That's
those
a
guys on
mess.
my fucking
Trey
roster.
McBride with his bullshit fumble recovery touchdown that lost me the week, and then it's a goddamn mess.
Trey McBride is bullshit.
Wait, where
Yes.
is Travis Kelsey? I want to know.
he's
Where
down
is he?
bad. He's in the
He's down
go
bad.
Up.
He's down in the pinks.
Go up.
Uh,
Go up
actually-
because he has a ton of snaps up there. Up,
yeah,
up, up.
yeah.
up. Look,
He's,
you
or
know,
no,
he's
he's in
up.
the Blues.
Right.
Center of the Blues.
Yeah,
right there.
next to Schultz and
in
Fant.
between Schultz and Fant. Yeah, in the center by
Him
Colby
being
Parkinson.
down bad versus Parkinson is not what you want to be seeing, man.
Yeah, no, like
Don't worry. By end of season,
Getting
he
beat
will
by
be somewhere.
Tucker
He'll be somewhere over
Kraft.
here eventually. I'm sure.
yes.
I mean, look at Sam Laporta. Even like he's like
no,
Hey,
not
he's down
doing
bad.
maximum on snaps and fucking no points.
Yeah.
That's awful.
So kind of what I was thinking is like when you guys are going
Rip
throughout the
Luke
season, you
Musgrave.
can use this. You can use TLoOJ.com as like a way to look at other people's rosters because it's like kind of clunky and sleeper to click through everything, and you can use
Yeah.
these visual tools to get an idea of how your players are comparing to others. I have plans to make in the team page a personal cluster. So like you'd go in here and there'll be a button to like show your players on a graph to see how they compare to one another as opposed to the entire league. That's a ways out. But yeah, so that's all the clustering on this page. There's also you can look at your draft history. So I can just go in here. I can see all the players that Joe drafted, including going back to our startup draft. So every team I pull in the draft data.
Can
every year.
you label those a little better?
What do you mean?
The 2023 and 2023, like, can you label one startup and rookie?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it would just require a little bit of engineering, but yeah, you can. It's chronological, so
I mean,
the later
obviously
it
you
goes
can tell
back.
which one is which, but like,
I mean, there's only ever going to be one startup draft.
Yeah.
So I just kind
You
of
could just relabel it startup.
I mean, yeah, there might be a dispersal draft though, so you never know. Like,
it's possible.
you know,
Like if we add a position, like if they come up with like good scoring for offensive linemen or something, and we decide to add that position to our,
if there's a willing God.
But so my pride and joy of this whole thing is the way I pull in the actual stats. I think this is so goddamn cool. So I go in and I grab there's hidden data in Sleeper that they don't tell you. Like it shows you the college and what high school they went to and everything, but they don't tell you draft data. So I pull in draft data and I save it into the database so you can look and you can see where a player was drafted and what year and everything. You also can see like if they're injured, you can see what kind of injury they have. So like Puka Nakua has a knee sprain. You can see it's specifically his PCL is fucked up. But each year shows up
Wait,
as a table. So
one question: does Nwosu have another torn titty?
He's
What's
been
up?
torn. So that's what I was
No,
going to
he's
tell
got an
you.
MCL.
But
He's still
it's
got the...
MCL.
Oh,
MCL.
okay.
does it
You'll see whenever you guys go talk about the hospital, you'll see it. It still says he's out,
It's
but
an MCL. Okay.
yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll
His
get to
torn
that.
hilarious.
So all of the players' stats are aggregated into a career summary, kind of like what you see in PFR. So this data is literally from PFR, but I filter it out and then I display it in a nice way, and then I color code it just like Sleeper does. So one thing I think would be helpful is I kind of like did the color coding based on feel. I haven't used a rigorous scientific way of determining, but I do have the ability to display different color coding depending on position. So I treat quarterbacks differently than I treat running backs, and I treat running backs differently than I treat wide receivers and tight ends, and defense has their own color coding and everything. So if you see something that looks really off, let me know, and I'll go in and I'll correct it. I'll adjust the ranges for everything because
I
it's
mean,
like really complicated.
have you
And I'm
considered
sure I've made mistakes.
have you considered curving it?
No, I have. It's programmatically done.
Right.
It's all done programmatically. So it's anyway. Just let me know if you have suggestions for the color
Okay.
coding. So then you go and you can look at each table, each stat table for each year, and the most recent year is going to be at the top here. And it has all of the advanced stats in addition to the base stats. And this is what I think is really cool, is because this data is basically already in Sleeper. Like it color codes it basically the exact same way, and it gives you the point values and what their stats were and everything. But what they don't give you is the advanced stats, like what was DK Metcalf's yards per catch on the season, what was it during this game, what was his drop percentage, and you can just quickly see based on the color value how good they were. So it's like, let's look at a full season, what that looks like. You can see the data is just so much more rich than what you get just by looking in Sleeper. But for me, and one of my objectives with this was to vastly improve the experience with defense, because the defense code, there's no color coding in Sleeper for anything, and they don't even include all of the stats, which is so ridiculous to me.
It's
And I
like
wish they would
basically
do that.
nothing for DL
So
for
let's
anything.
just Khalil Mack's a good example, just because he's had such a long fucking career. Let's look at just last year. There's so much more information that you can get. You can learn about his blitz when he was blitzing, his
Ooh.
hurries, QB knockdowns. You're not just seeing sacks and fumble recovery or whatever. You can actually see like how many pressures he got, how many combined tackles he got, how many times he whiffed. So like you can see like which
Missed
games
tackle
he had.
percentage is so
He
dope.
missed tackles. If you look at a DB, so like let's look at Slay. Similar situation, except all the passing stat or the defense stats are there. So how many interceptions he got. You can look at his targets. So if you're looking at like a corner and you want to evaluate if they're a corner that is a better fantasy asset than they are a real life asset, you can look at how many coverage targets they have. You can see what their completion percentage is. Like, are they being
That's
thrown at and
so
allowing
bad.
that through?
87.5. Wow.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see
he
like
really
these
fucked
guys.
up that game. 7 targets,
Yeah.
7 completions on 8 targets. Oof.
Yeah, you can also
98
look
yards.
like
Bad
allowed passer
big play
rating.
Slay the other way. Like
So like some of this is contextual. Like yes, this week he did allow half of his catches, but the allowed passer rating was only 39.6, which is pretty good. So it's like there's a lot of contextual information you can glean from this that is more than what you just see in Sleeper, where it's like, oh, they got 15 tackles, they must be good. You can really dive in deep and figure out, more about a player. And this is all information that's already available that you could have looked up yourself, but it's all here. It's all personalized for your team, and it's all color coded, similar to the way it works with Sleeper. And then obviously, I've got fantasy points scored for the basic tables based on these stats and then the scoring
what we
settings
score. Yeah.
that we have in our Sleeper league. So if we change the Sleeper settings, it'll all automatically update in the database, which is cool.
There's some things that we're going to be missing because of just what PFR hold like doesn't and does do, but that's kind of just why we looked into the API, and that's just going to be an issue. It's fine.
Yeah,
It
the one thing.
don't spend too much money on something for
Oh no,
a
this is all free. Like I
thing.
designed,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
spent like $15 on the domain name, and that's it.
Sweet. Good. I'm
Um,
glad TLoOJ Tools was not taken.
It was cheap as shit. The other,
I love
also
the name, by the way.
quarterbacks.
I'm really excited about it.
Quarterbacks. They have
So
extra
many
tables. So
fucking stats.
they have advanced rushing and receiving tables, as well as advanced passing stats, which you can see here is dense as fuck. You can see like how many percentage of their passes were dropped by the receivers that they threw at. You can see air yards. I personally hate the air yard stat, but if that's something you care about, that's all here now. Passing, this is important as fuck. Passing first down percent rates, like lots of really good information that's there. And the advanced stats tables go back to 2017. So pretty much all your players, unless you're Trevor and you have Hulk Part, will have. Oh no, TJ Watt is actually not that old.
Khalil Mack, I think, is one of my oldest
Yeah,
players.
Khalil Mack is
Mack
old as
is-
fuck. We
let's-
can go look
do
at
we- does
his
he-
like
does he have-
2014 season. You can see there's no advanced stats because PFR didn't
happen
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, Khalil Mack is old as
The
hell.
other thing is,
Yeah, he is.
there's a
He's played on a lot of teams too.
obviously what the way this works is the
Raiders, Bears, Chargers. Any more than
the
that?
system
Seahawks.
the system is using
Khalil
players that
Mack
are
played for the
actively
Seahawks
rostered.
for a year?
I think he played for us for a year, didn't he?
Yep, for 1 year.
Oh. Was that before
so-
the Bears?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't we take him from Oakland?
Yeah. In between the Raiders and the Bears. He played a season for the Seahawks.
1 season, and he was terrible. So obviously this pulls in data from all of your teams, and then it's doing all it. I have to rate limit the scripts because if they are collecting data too quickly, I get shadow banned by PFR, which is fine. There's millions of other people that are doing the same thing that I'm doing here, and they have anti-bot protections in. So unfortunately, I can't just go in and run a script that runs like I can pull in the global sleeper profile, like all of the players that are in the sleeper universe. I can look at them. So what I could do is I could write a script that just pulls in every single player that has ever existed. But that would take forever and would create a database that's just really big
Unwieldy.
because I would have
You'd have all the O linemen in there. You don't
right,
need.
exactly. Well, I filter all that out actually. I filter out positions that we don't support on purpose because I don't want junk
You
data
don't
in my
need that.
database.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can look for a player. So like I think Tanner Hudson isn't a player, so it'll fire off a job to tell the script to go grab Tanner Hudson's stats real quick, and then it'll cache that in the database, and then it holds onto it for 30 days if no one looks at it again, and then it'll just wash out eventually. So this takes a second. The page automatically updates when all of the stats have been collected, and it takes about 5 seconds per year. And it's not because the script is slow, it's because I'm trying to respectfully use PFR's free data that they give everybody.
It's so that you don't overload the free database. It is
exactly.
Slowness is the cost of freeness.
There's things I could do to like rotate out headers and do spoofing
will you
and
give
stuff.
us a snake game on this page?
I'm thinking I need like a GIF or something here.
Yeah,
or like a
little rotating thing. Just give us
so
a
the
snake
thing about
game.
this is you can
Give us
go
a snake game.
away.
It's easy.
You can
It's
go
cheap.
away and come back. That is true. I can make a game. But you can go away. You can fire up multiple tabs. Unfortunately, because of the way it works, it's single threaded. So it's like if all 12 of you are in here looking up free agents at once, it might take a long because it does it one at a time. Because I can't multi-thread it because of the it would
limiting
block me if there were 12 of these happening at the same time.
You should also, if you have the opportunity to put an updatable job queue on there, you should do that just in case.
Put the game you made and sent me on here, or like make a tab for it. It's actually hella
Mario.
fun.
Hey, it happened!
Yeah,
woohoo! All right.
Yeah. So
we have a real time.
He's been in the league.
On how
he's
long
been
that
in the
took.
league for 6 years. So that took like what, a minute and a half to get all the tables because
Something like
each
that.
table, it's pulling in every single table that is
He got a
available
lot of
for this
stats.
guy. So now Tanner Hudson's in the list, and then if someone releases a player, it just dumps it into the free agent pool. So you can see here in the corner it says free agent pool. So whenever players shift in and out of rosters, it just goes in and out of this free agent database.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, these all get updated on game day too. So when all the scripts run to update all your players, it updates all the free agent stats as well. So all that should sync up and everything. But anyway, that's about it when it comes to the actual stats and the majority of the features. The last thing is the hospital, which is the addition from today. So Trevor, what did you notice that was wrong?
Uchenna, he's technically not designated out, even though he should be. But he's
Is
designated
he
out
out in sleeper?
No. He is questionable.
Probably just
in my opinion, he should be designated out.
Yeah, same with Jordan Love, who just got designated as questionable, but should be fucking out with the same MCL sprain.
But, oh yeah, so this should update soon and have more recent information. But he is still questionable, so he will still show up here. Actually,
Because even
Does
Joe
this show
Mixon shows up.
because so the
or
way,
something?
yeah, it does. I'll show that in a second. But the way this works is, so Sleeper has their API, right, which is free, which is awesome. You don't need an API key. You can literally just do a curl command in command prompt right now and query their API, which is fantastic. It's so cool that they don't require people to pay or sign up for their dev program or anything. It's just publicly available. So they have an API call that downloads their entire database of all their players, and they ask that people only query that once a day. So I respect that, and I run it twice a day. And I'm assuming they only update. So they obviously have their own database that they read everything from. So Chenna is
I was to
questionable
say
today.
he's been questionable since Monday or Tuesday when they did the update.
Yeah, so their API database is behind, and my site will eventually catch up when they update it. So it'll probably be like tomorrow.
We're still
Okay.
we're still at the behest of other servers, right, and other systems for.
I mean, we are at the behest of
all of this and
we're on this shit
slowness.
free.
Yeah, and the free shit runs slow. So oops, like
Yeah, so
it's still more detailed. Like you're getting the most detailed fantasy data out of like almost any site that I've ever seen. Even the
this is
paid
amazing.
ones, like. So and it's specifically personalized to our league. So this is like so dope. Like big snaps for Joe and Scott for working on this. So
We're also
good
not
fucking
done.
job, you
We're
guys.
gonna continue to like add stuff to this.
Of
So-
course.
Because
so
this is
this
just fuck around with data, have fun.
yeah,
project.
this is just a
Sure.
cool programming project. While I can't play video games and I have an infant child that makes it so I can't really do anything else, but I do have time, like 30 minutes here and there, to work on a programming project.
yeah, I mean,
it's actually great.
You can rock the baby and like tell the AI.
Yeah,
to code.
exactly.
Like
So this whole hospital thing was actually Steve's idea, and the one thing that Steve wanted, what he was doing is he was going in and manually creating a spreadsheet, like a injury roundup thing, and I was like, dude, don't do that. I'll just put it in my website.
yeah,
right?
we'll make it automated.
So for example, I can go in here and Sleeper has this data that they pull in, right? But what they don't include is data about like when they will return, or like the expected duration or anything like that. So I can update it manually. So we can say Uchenna, so I can do like a custom note. Yeah, update it. Now he has a torn titty.
Yeah,
Nice.
excellent.
So then when he comes off the injury report, this will update and he'll go away. And that data will be gone.
Yeah, it should automatically update for the most part.
Yep.
I think, yeah, it would be at least like knowing what the injury is specifically, and having them all wound up and just being like, oh man, fucking Ben's getting absolutely wrecked by hamstring injuries this year, for whatever reason. That's nonsense. That's nothing. But like, I don't know. It's cool to see. You got all this here.
Yeah, because you have the most injured and the least injured, so it sorts it. It's kind of like a small of shame.
Trevor, let's
I
go
do
least
like
injured.
Most injured. I do like that. It's great.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because like Danny, me, and Jordan have been destroyed.
But you literally picked up a bunch of IR players. So
No, these are all, look
imagine
at all my
that
players.
affects it.
These are mine. Audric Estimate got injured. JJ McCarthy.
Those are
okay,
draft
I'll take
picks.
that
You
one.
got 3
But
draft picks in there. Like,
fucking Rick. It's not my fault. Ricky got shot. Look, I even put a note. He got shot. Okay.
I noticed so.
And then fucking Tua's head got stuck in a trash compactor.
man.
Hollywood
Yeah,
Brown
that's
decided
bad.
to play.
Dude,
in a
he did
preseason
the
game.
Tua fingers again, dude.
Yeah, it's bad news.
Kenneth
Dude,
Walker.
and the moment I saw that, I
years.
was like, I don't know if I can watch this
Yeah, I
game.
know.
Although
I went back and watched some of it, but like, oh man.
Although look at Danny. Danny's is like really stretching the page here. Like holy shit.
Yeah, it's really bad.
I'm pretty sure. Speaking about that, I'm pretty sure
D Hall has a
done.
concussion. Oof.
Tua's done.
Missed that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. With
I
Tua.
honestly,
I
really
put
hope
a
he
note.
doesn't. I hope he doesn't play again. Like,
Should retire is the note that I would put.
yeah.
Here, let's see.
Oh,
CTE
man.
imminent.
Yeah,
I
like
hope he goes to actually
my
I
man,
hope he goes to the
coach.
best neurosurgeon psychologist team and actually get some good advice from outside sources, not not
The
affiliated
problem
with
is
him.
that there's
He
not
better.
a whole lot of things to do for it
I
because
mean,
Well, it's
the
just
only thing to do is not get hit again. Like,
Yeah.
well, it's not like I just hope that he goes to outside sources that are reputable and that he makes a good decision from those recommendations and not
yeah.
go through the
I hope that he
because
just has a very supportive family around him that is going to be able to deal with his fallout in the next 10 years.
yeah.
Yeah, me too,
It's
because
not
it's
gonna be
gonna be
good.
bad.
Well,
And then I have this, and the other thing I wanted to put on here is I wanted a gallery to immortalize all of Danny's cartoons for every week.
Yes.
I was
Yes,
gonna do that
love
as well.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, we do need
That's-
a little the Sunday paper. You
Yeah.
know, where
The comic strips.
shit, if we could get man, if people were wanting to submit something for a blog or something weekly, just a little other than Danny, I would encourage it greatly. You know?
Yeah. The
You
more
know.
interaction we get from you guys,
the better. Come, bring that to it. We will immortalize it on the website. I would love to see people come together and make an actual Sunday paper with fucking trash talk and bullshit and all of that. Bring it. This is the call to action.
Remember, this started out as me asking Scott, "Hey, where'd you get that data you used?" And if you add something, it'll grow into something more, and that's all that this really is, and hopefully it turns into something that everybody uses.
Yeah.
No, it's super dope.
Really my hope.
It's super data rich. It's really cool. It's it's awesome that you guys have put this together. So, props, major props.
This is why I wanted to do the podcast and everything, is because you guys have been really good players. I appreciate having good players in my fantasy league, because having good players, makes things competitive, makes the game fun. So this is doing the podcast, and then before this I did a blog for my redraft leagues, and now we have a website and stuff. This is just my way as commissioner of saying thank you and giving you guys content that keeps you engaged, and just making it more fun than just oh, I'm in a fantasy league or whatever. I think it's really cool that Casey's family, his dad's been playing in a dynasty league for 30 years. I hope that this is the same in 30 years, that we're still playing the game. I don't know if we will be, but that would be awesome if we were. The game's fun enough, and it's a good way to hang out with friends and stuff. So, try and keep it
Football's not
interesting.
going away, so it'll be around.
In some way, shape, or form. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
I've been doing this for almost a decade at this point. I don't think I'm going to stop playing fantasy football, as much as it frustrates the hell out of me and pisses me off.
I mean, that's part of the joy. What is victory if not for the adversity that comes before it? Right.
Fantasy football is just waiting for stat corrections to know if you want to.
But we even have that going in the other league right now. Shit.
Yeah. Speaking of stat corrections, Trevor, let me know tomorrow. Think about it.
Well, no, actually, let's check. Are they up yet?
I'm looking right now.
I think they finalize by tomorrow afternoon.
They finalize by tomorrow afternoon, but sometimes they're up early if there's very few to do. So
They'll do two updates if corrections are needed.
All right. Well, I'll go over any stat corrections from week 1. Doesn't look like anything mattered. No. Jalen Thompson lost a pass defended. The rest of this is pretty minor. That's the big one from week 1. So, yeah. Sorry, Josh.
Hey, points matter, man.
Yeah.
That wild card spot.
It's 4 points, but
hey, wild card spot, man.
Yeah, let's see.
How have you guys liked the IDP changes so far?
I honestly haven't noticed much of a difference, which has been good. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I
It
think
doesn't
like
seem
the
that
boom
different.
of the receivers, not receivers, but like DBs is still there. It's just not as ridiculous.
Yeah, like
Like,
Alante Taylor again went fucking crazy, and last season
Oh wait,
it was
no,
like he had
holy
that
shit!
he had
I'm
4
sorry, that
PBUs in
stat
a game.
correction caused a change in result.
Wait, what?
huh?
That 4 points off, I believe, caused a change in result.
I don't think
Wait,
it
what
did. Whose game switched?
I
Yeah.
believe John and Josh's in week 1. Oh no, never mind. Wait, nope. Sleepers, they fucked me up. I'm wrong.
You're
I'm wrong.
high.
I'm wrong. I'm dead wrong. It didn't matter. Yeah, no, it didn't matter at all. Okay.
Well, we haven't had one yet, but
Nope, no stat corrections mattered. Don't worry.
well, Scott, thank you for putting all this together, man. This is
Yeah,
way
no,
more
it's dope.
I thought this was ever going to turn into, and this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really
I'm glad
awesome.
you
And
guys
it's really
like
great.
it. I please continue to give me feedback. Like I said, with the color coding and everything, like pour into it. I want you guys to use it. I spent all this energy and time working. Like this is like 3 or 4 months of work at this point.
Yeah, and I spent
So
way too much time like agonizing over those clusters, and so
yeah.
I'm very glad that like
It's
if
good that they're
anybody,
being used. Yeah, I'm using
It's a
them.
good tool that I've never seen that I really like.
well, I'm glad. Like, yeah, if that's the whole point is if we can offer something that people use that is unique, it
Speaking
makes
of which, there's going to be more. I just finished a feature for Joe where I export all data for all players on our rosters at once, and he's working on a proprietary League of Ordinary Jabronis statistic called Jabroni Above Replacement or JAR score, which is going to be displayed on each player's page, which is basically wins above replacement, but
for fantasy.
for
For
Jabronis.
fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
For
you
our
mean by
jabroni.
wins above replacement?
Wait,
So
what?
basically, it is a score that indicates a higher number the better, obviously. How many wins that player would have given you over a replacement level player, like a waiver wire ad.
Over the average player. So if you have the average player in a fantasy, what is the value of your player compared to the average? That is
Right.
the point.
Okay.
Which
And
I have
negative
been
is
working
very
on
bad.
still.
Don't get negatives.
Yes, you do not want negative players. If you get a negative player, that is not good because
That
these
you drop them.
part of the way like war
Unless
works.
they're
Like
yeah.
well, like the way that war
Prospects,
works
but
generally is like it's persistent over time, and so it should it's a cumulative score.
right. The only
And
reason you should have negatives is if they're like deep fucking flyer prospects and they have not done anything.
Well, the
over
only
multiple
negative that I would
games.
be able to maybe see is Mike Williams, but that's a really weird situation. Bro was like a god in San Diego, and now all of a sudden he's with fucking Aaron Rodgers and with
Can't
with
catch a
Jets.
break.
And
I never would have thought that would happen.
I don't understand.
dude, Mike Williams is like
What do you mean
snake
Aaron
bitten
Rodgers prefers
receiver in
Allen
the league right
Lazard
now.
over other better receivers? What do you
Well,
mean? Tell me about
I mean,
it.
I understand like Alan Lazard came from Green Bay, right? But it's like
He came over from Green Bay, yeah. He's like an Aaron Rodgers
Rodgers' best
guy.
friend.
Like, yeah. He's the new Randall Cobb.
yeah, true. Anyways, I just thought that was weird. That's like Joshua Palmer and Mike Williams both are like no longer fantasy relevant all of a sudden this year.
Well, again, like we were saying earlier, there are so many players, like especially pass catching players, that are just doing nothing right now. Like so many. Because there's no passing volume in the league right now. Everyone's running and defenses are going ham, you know?
Yeah,
So
it's I mean it's also like I mean Scott opened the podcast with this, man. Like this is like just the state of early season NFL at this point. Like it's the preseason, it's ramping up from like it's the lack of ramping up from like practice speed to preseason speed to game speed and like not having that ramp up period. Like it's the change in the meta from offense to defense. Like it'll all like the offense defense thing will change, but like
Also,
the
did we see
preseason
any
extended.
breakout rookies?
I didn't catch that. Sorry, what did you say?
Did we see any breakout rookies this year?
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers, yeah.
Oh,
He
true.
hasn't really He hasn't had like the dominant 30 fantasy point week where he's going, 150 yards, 10 catches, and a touchdown. But I would say him, just because the tight end position is a fucking wasteland, and the fact that he's a tight end, is remarkable. But the other one I could think of really is Marvin Harrison Jr. had a game like week 1 was bad. He looked awful, and then week 2,
Oh yeah,
he had a DeAndre Hopkins first half where he had like
28 points.
It felt like it wasn't even double digits,
crazy.
haven't even rolled off the clock in the first quarter, and he had 2 catches and like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was just like, what is this?
That game
like
was just bananas from the beginning, though. Like it was that Cardinals Rams game was just absolutely insane from the get.
Dude, Marvin Harrison is so much fun to watch. He just like his ability
He just
to
busted him.
Spatial awareness is unbelievable for someone who's as young as he is, because he's like 21 or something. It's crazy.
Speaking of breakouts,
wait, is 1 second. Let me look at a player real quick.
let me bring this up again.
Just send me any clips and I will
I wanted to bring up TLoOJ tools real quick just so I could demonstrate this.
Yeah.
Look at these targets. Malik Neighbors last week. 18.
Yeah, he's jumping.
18.
That's crazy.
His target share was insane. It was like 69%.
That's fucking wild. Holy moly.
I mean, who else is on that
team?
Broke out. There's nobody else on that team. Like to catch passes.
No one's gonna catch a ball on that team except for maybe Theo Johnson.
Maybe. I mean, and Daniel Jones.
He's not gonna do that. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah, but look at
like Daniel Jones. Like you're gonna be riding the Daniel Jones train to get like these 18 targets, and like Washington has the worst DB situation. Like there is. Like they're playing Jeremy Chin as a linebacker D-back hybrid exclusively at DB right now.
The best guy is St. Just, right? He's like their only dude in the backfield who's any good.
Dude,
even
Juice
he's
took
better
like
fantasy than he is in.
Yeah, because he got like, dude, he was getting worked by Mike Evans because he was like a foot shorter than him, and he was just like moving his arm over his head. It was just
basically PBU king, like he's gonna get a lot of deflections, but he's also gonna get fucking worked over a lot of the time. Like
I mean, if you've got receivers and they're playing Washington, play them. It's the same thing as last year with the sacks. Like
any pass catcher against Washington hit it.
Dude.
Like
also Carolina, they're easily the bottom 2 deep, which is crazy because they bought
so
players.
Much fucking
they
talent.
They got Frankie Louvu. They got Jimmy.
They basically traded players.
They have Bobby Wagner. Like they don't have bad players in their defense. Their defense is shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, but Bobby went there for a bag.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, he got bag-itis.
They all have bag-itis at the same time.
Yeah, it's bad news. It ain't good.
Oh well, I mean, it's good for fantasy. Play your players. Like,
so, man. Do you guys have any hot takes? I remember Danny asked for hot takes for the league.
Like league specific or like NFL?
Like our fantasy league specific hot takes.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but Jordan had a floor game for the first time ever. Usually he has like those games where he like explodes every player. This game he had like implosions every player, which is fucking hilarious.
I mean, I also had that. So
he's also ranked number 2 in the most injured teams of the St. Jabroni Hospital rankings. So
yeah. That does contribute.
He does have. I mean, he does have the only good fantasy player, like McCaffrey, hurt. So, like, yeah, I mean,
of course,
like
he did. In the hospital rankings, like
McCaffrey should count for 2 of 2 like hurt players.
2. That works for me.
I think Danny's team is going to get healthy, and then he's going to make a run, and the fantasy championship will be Josh versus Danny.
It's not a hot take.
That's a hot take. Come on.
What's Josh's team? I have not.
Look at Josh's team.
Josh's team is not bad.
It's not bad. It's just scrappy.
Like, there's a lot of
It just-
teams that could make a serious run if things break good for them.
Dude,
But
me
if
and
things break
Josh just
bad,
played
it's
each
real
other,
bad.
and we both laid eggs at each other, and then he laid a bigger egg. That's basically what happened.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is there's a lot of breaking bad going on right now for a lot of teams, and like there's very few booms that are going off. Like basically the way the scoring goes is that there's a couple like 3 teams that are above 200, a bunch of teams at about 160, and then a bunch of teams like or a couple teams below that.
Well, the teams with like Trevor's team's doing great because he has all the vets.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
they're
how
all
fantasy works.
they're all
That's
conditioned.
like literally
Yeah.
like how
That's how
fantasy
fantasy
works.
works. Yeah, exactly. Like there's no rookie risk like going on with Trevor's team. So okay.
Like the one rookie risk he took wasn't even a risk because he took him in the 5th round. Like and
Yep.
like
And I took him because
like
funny
a
name.
flyer.
Funny name.
Yeah.
Funny name flyer. Put on fucking practice squad.
I do think that strategy this year for you is going to work. I really liked Kool-Aid coming out of the draft, and like, I mean, I don't know if he's ever going to be fantasy relevant, but I think he's going to be a good player, and I love the name. So
I think he'll get more relevancy throughout the year.
Do
I
y'all
think
think
so,
I
yeah.
have the first taxi squad promotion of the year with Carson Steele in week 2?
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
maybe he's
I mean,
gonna
like-
be number 1 this week for running back. So
I mean,
we'll see.
it makes sense to do, but like, it probably is the first of the year. Tell me, listeners.
unless like Jordan Whittington turns into the next Puka Nacua, like probably.
Well, I mean, it already happened. So like, I mean, he already got promoted. So
Well, then
I
I
mean,
that doesn't
is
count.
Isaiah out for the year?
No.
What?
No,
Pacheco's out
Pacheco?
for 2
no,
months.
but
He's
I'm
out for 2
desperate for
months.
fucking points, especially from
This
the
is
running
this
back
is where the
position.
St. Jabroni's hospital would be useful. I need to like go in and fill out all the injured players.
Yeah, the Saint Jabronis will be more useful on this, but no, Jabroni's out or Pacheco is out for what 6
6 to 8
weeks?
weeks. 6 to 8 weeks.
So
Yeah.
Trust
pretty
me, I
much
know. I know.
most fantasy
6
relevant
weeks.
weeks.
So you got about 5 weeks. So yeah, I mean he's got about 5 weeks of relevance.
I mean, he just had surgery today. Like,
Yeah. Okay. So 6 weeks, 6 more weeks. Of
yeah,
fantasy relevance
minimum.
potentially.
Depending on how like well they're playing. If they're down
Yeah.
bad, then he'll come back sooner. If they're playing well, then he'll come back later.
Well,
I don't think it's a
Chiefs.
question of if they will be playing well. I think they will
Yeah.
because it's the Chiefs and they're
Yeah, I think it'll be
going to
fine.
three-peat.
So
It's going to be a really boring Super Bowl again.
it's gonna suck.
Ugh.
We're gonna
Against
see
the
Chiefs
Niners.
Niners. Here's my hot take for the season: is that it's gonna be Chiefs Niners again in the Super Bowl, and everyone's
That's
gonna
not a hot
hate
take, Steve. That is a cold take. That is
Yeah, that's
a
like the
Stephen A.
most-
Smith take.
it. Yeah,
Exactly. He would
This
be
is-
yelling it and
this
then
is
saying
a
like,
fucking cement
acting like it's a hot
casserole
take.
take.
Yeah.
Like this is, I get it, but like that's
you,
what
you
it's
need
gonna
like
be.
a
Come on,
you need, like,
Skip.
a
Who's gonna
Skip
be in the?
Bayless level.
I was gonna say it's gonna be the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys
No,
Yeah.
I
and
wish.
Eagles at the same time somehow.
Somehow.
They're gonna break.
It's
the
gonna be an
point
all
control.
NFC Super Bowl.
All NFC Super Bowl.
Nobody,
Shut up, Skip.
nobody in the
You're
AFC at this moment is looking particularly hot shit. Like,
Steve, a hot take would be like Jacksonville in the Super Bowl. That's a hot
Yeah.
take.
that's a
Like,
scorching
someone just-
take. That's
doesn't-
molten lava that could melt rock. That take is so hot. Like, fuck.
Is it a
I
hot
mean-
take to say that it's gonna be Tampa Bay and the Eagles? Or not the Eagles, sorry.
That can't happen.
Fucking
and the
KC.
Cowboys.
KC.
Tampa
Oh wait, no,
Bay, the Bucks,
Tampa
the
Bay
Bucks
and
and the
KC.
Chiefs is an
Hmm.
interesting take. I don't think it's hot. I think it's lukewarm because it involves KC. But
Yeah, but I mean, who else in the AFC is gonna go to the Super Bowl?
The Bills.
Nobody.
Yeah, right.
no, they suck.
Wait, is Houston in the AFC?
Yeah, it's Houston.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then Houston.
Houston, Tampa.
Yeah,
I'm here for
Houston.
this actually. I want to see
Dude,
that
Houston,
game.
Tampa. I would be into that.
Nah,
I'm
Like,
into
yeah,
that.
nah.
I'm into that Super Bowl. That's the
Houston,
hot take.
CJ Stroud
I'm rooting for
CJ
that dark
Stroud.
horse.
versus Kirk Cousins. Let's go Falcons. Rise up.
That's a hot take.
There's the hot take.
Falcons is a hot take. Anything with the
Falcons hot
Falcons
take.
doing
I
well
love
is
that
a
you're
hot
rooting for Kirk now. It makes me so happy.
Dude, I've had JJ I've been rooting for Kirk for a minute.
I know.
I've just been kind of memeing because like Trevor loves Kirk Cousins.
I do love Kirk Cousins.
Facts. Yeah.
He's Mr. Consistent, man. How could you not like him?
He's better, yeah.
I mean, a hot take would be that the Justin Harbaugh Chargers beat the Chiefs for the division. That's a hot take.
I mean, if they had if they could get it together, honestly, the Chargers
I could see it happening.
But
Chargers have a good defense.
they have an
they
okay
still have
offense.
Justin Herbert exists.
The defense needs to play better
But
than
he
they
hasn't been doing very good this year.
They really need to. He hasn't needed
injury prone right now. Like he's just on the injury. Like
he's getting beat up by his head coach, and he hasn't really needed to do a whole lot. You know, the defense has done a lot for him, and the run game has been pretty good.
I mean,
it's a
J.K. Dobbins has managed to flex the two fibers of ligament that exist in his knees and be an amazing running back.
He's the only
carry
person ever to come back from an Achilles and be good, aside from Breonna Stewart.
His like 3 Achilles injuries, and he tore both his ACLs and got folded in half, and he's
going
basically
like
Trevor.
And I mean,
he just hasn't been shot yet. That's the problem.
But like Dobbins looks good in a high fucking velocity position for those ligaments. So
I mean, I'll be honest with you, the ACL that I got, right, it's better than my right knee. So I've always believed that ACLs aren't that bad.
Yeah, if you do PT right, like, and you have a good physical therapist, like it is totally possible to like have a stronger
difference. Yeah.
I've never tore a ligament in my knee, knock on wood, because I'm a runner, but like I understand that the issue really isn't necessarily the injury per se, or like the strength of the muscles, especially for a professional athlete. It's more about the trust in that knee and feeling like you can plant and cut on that the surgically repaired knee. The technology, like the medicine, is so good at this point that it's almost a non-issue.
Right.
So
I think it all comes down to trusting your surgeon.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, yeah, the skill matters, but like these guys have
matters.
access to the best sports medicine doctors in the world. So.
No, I know that literally the guy who does the Seahawks did my knee.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So that's
that's good. Good surgeon.
The I will say this though about like the passing game for the Chargers. Like one of like Leauge, Palmer, or Lad McConkey will be good and fantasy relevant this year and actually be like a number one. One of them is going to hit. Like they have Justin Herbert. Herbert is a great quarterback, and Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater might be the best tackle duo by the end of the year. Like one of those three guys is gonna hit.
The problem is that the passing volume isn't there because Harbaugh wants to run the ball 40 times a game. So you're gonna get on a good game 25 passes. That's not gonna sustain fantasy relevance, but they're gonna be ones in terms of the depth chart and their usage. Yes.
This is more of not this year, but a fantasy take, like dynasty fantasy. Like one of those.
Yeah,
three
I mean
guys
that's a hot. I'll say that's a hot take because I totally disagree. I do not think they're going to be top. That offense is not going to produce a top 15.
One
receiver.
of those guys is going to equate to a Zay Flowers or a Mark Andrews.
Dude, Vernon Davis. No, like Vernon Davis was on that Jim Harbaugh team and like destroyed the tight end position, like for fantasy. Like Jim Harbaugh does pass.
You can do that. Like, yeah, I mean, like
it's just this year is not going to be that year.
This is the established.
And Justin Herbert's his best quarterback ever, maybe including Andrew Luck, because Andrew Luck like was a Stanford kid when he had him.
Right. I think that's fair. It's not a bad take.
I don't know. I don't see it.
I don't disagree entirely, but I want to watch it play out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't see Harbaugh ever being a receiving offense ever.
Here, I got the homer hot take. Green Bay goes to the Super Bowl against the Texans.
God, Steve, I cannot even watch Green Bay. They're so boring.
I just don't believe that for a second. Like I just don't.
The defense is reborn. 4-3. I know.
I
hope they don't play him this week. We don't
Green
need
Bay
him
doesn't have
against the
any
Titans.
dogs. Like at least when Tay was there, that team was spicy because you had Aaron Rodgers, who's a Chad, and then you have Devontae Adams, who's just
Aaron Rodgers is a Chad.
cool ass motherfucker. Like that stupid fucking Taco Bell commercial's actually funny as fuck.
I mean,
Yo, I got a Taco Bell in my house. You haven't seen that
Devontae-
commercial?
I have, but
Whatever.
that's some bullshit. I mean, like, fuck Devontae Adams, but also not. Like, he is
No,
funny.
that's what I'm saying is like the fucking Packers don't gotta have any dogs on that team. I don't see it.
We got Jair.
I guess
Xavier
I-
McKinney is
corner.
not vocal.
That's your dog.
Yeah,
I
our
mean,
cornerback. Yeah,
Your
yeah, our
cornerback is your
cornerback.
dog.
Josh Jacobs
Cool.
I
is a
mean-
fucking beast. Like,
I mean, you in the 12s like jersey, like Devon Witherspoon. Come on now, man. Like, I don't
We
know.
got
What do you
DK,
got?
sir? We got DK. The second coming of Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Come
We
on.
have the dog.
Yeah,
uh,
bruh.
Leonard Williams.
don't catch Metcalf.
Have you seen Byron Murphy's thighs? He's a soft-spoken dude. Maybe that's not a good example, but I immediately shut that down with DK.
And Leonard Williams. Bro, did you see him in
Leonard
that
Williams
last
is a
game?
dog too.
What the fuck?
All right.
We used to have Jamal Adams.
Our
That'd be a good
dogs.
Chad.
Our dogs. Elton
And Jamal, yeah.
Jenkins.
Dogs are Ricky Pearsall. Okay, the guy
True.
who
Bullshit.
takes the robber's gun and shoots him back, and then
Bullshit.
walks to the ambulance, and then goes to practice the next day. That's a dog.
He just like me.
Bullshit. Fuck the Niners.
I agree.
I think
True.
we should have drafted him. That would have been way cooler.
Probably
But
wouldn't
then
have
we
got
wouldn't
shot.
have Byron Murphy.
He wouldn't got
Yeah, I'd
shot
take
in
Byron
Pioneer
Murphy, too.
Square.
Maybe we just smoked some weed.
Yeah, he
and got
would've.
suspended or some shit.
Stupid.
He'd have been down at the Renton skate
Stupid.
park.
Yeah, probably.
Got shot by one of them Crips down there.
Down in White Center.
All right, guys. I think we should wrap it up. We've got
Yeah.
a
It's
nice,
time.
like 2-hour long episode at this
Yeah.
point.
This
we
is
did it.
we're
We
back
did
to
a
our
bad
own
job, guys.
fucking ways. God damn it.
Well,
We did a
missed
bad
it
job,
last
guys.
week.
There'll be some
and
cut
then
down
we had the
and cut in.
the whole TLoOJ tools thing and everything. So
Yeah, no,
anyway.
that's a big intro.
But yeah, as you guys know, defense wins championships.
And Steve
And
sucks.
Steve
Fuck
sucks.
And
you
Steve sucks.
all.
All right, guys. Have a good
All
week.
right. Y'all
too.
peace.
Good luck.
Have a
Bye.
good one. Good luck. Get out of here, Trevor.